Assalamualaikum dear students. Today we shall learn relative clauses. Let us first of all go to the introductory part of this class. Assalamualaikum dear students. Today we shall learn relative clauses. Let us first of all go to the part 1, that is introduction. In this part we shall learn about the general introduction of the relative clauses. Before we proceed, let us first of all learn what is a clause. It is necessary to learn the basic terms related with the topic, that is relative clause, clauses, pronouns or relative pronouns, so on and so forth. After that we shall come to the main topic. Now let us first of all go through this part, that is clause. Clause is actually a part of a longer sentence. A part of a longer sentence. What does the word longer sentence mean? A sentence may be just formed of 3 words, that is subject, verb and object. But whensoever there are so many subjects, there are so many verbs and there are so many objects, it forms a longer sentence. That is why we say that clause is a part of a longer sentence. Here, this clause may consist of which consists of a subject or a verb, or it may have a common subject or verb. I shall explain it once again. It is a part of a longer sentence which consists of a subject or a verb, or it may have its own common subject, or both subject as well as verb. I shall give over here an example, that is, the man is poor. The man is honest. In this example, it is clear that there are 2 sentences, that is, the man is poor and the man is honest. If we try to make a clause, or if we try to make these sentences, or if we try to change these 2 sentences into a longer sentence, it can be simply changed into this form. The man is poor, but he is honest. Here in this example, we come to know that the man is poor is one clause, but he is honest is another clause. If we go through another example of the same type, that is, the man is poor but honest. Here in this part, or in this clause, we come to know that the man as well as the verb is both of them have been kept as common for this object, that is honest. As we have discussed in the above definition, that it is a part of a longer sentence, which consists of its own subject or a verb. Here the man is the subject and is the verb. Once again, one more part, he is subject, he is verb. Both of these parts form clauses of a longer sentence. But in the next example, we have kept both these subject as well as verb as common for this object. If we go through another example, if it rains heavily, we shall not play the match. This example also depicts the same thing, that is, If it rains heavily is a part of this sentence which is dependent, or its meaning is totally dependent on this part of the sentence, but it forms the part of the longer sentence. That is, if it rains heavily, we shall not play the match. Okay, I will just omit it. Now, definition, we shall come to the kinds of the clause. Generally, there are two kinds of clauses. Number one, it is coordinate clause. It is that kind of clause in which all the parts of the sentence are independent. They can give us meaning without any dependence. All the parts of the sentence are independent. All the parts of the sentence are independent. It means that they give us complete meaning without any kind of or any sort of dependence upon another part of the sentence. That is why they are called as independent. For example, it is raining heavily and या हम यहाँ से therefore लिखेंगे, therefore we shall not play the match today. In this sentence, there are two clauses, that is, it is raining heavily. It also gives us a complete meaning, and if we now keep this part of the sentence hidden here, which therefore we shall not play the match, it also gives us complete meaning without any kind of dependence on the preceding part of the sentence. Therefore, we can say that both of the clauses are coordinate clauses. Now, there is another kind of clause that is called as subordinate clause.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes?
Sir, I have a question.
Of course.
Sir, if we take the example like stop, now you can go.
Yeah, of course. You are just talking of imperative sentences.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Explain this example in view of coordinate clause you are explaining this time.
Of course. I will try to define over here something new for you.
Thank you, sir.
Let us go through the example. Your example is stop. Isn't so? Now you can go. Now you can go. This is your sentence. This is your example. Here, stop is actually an order, which is an imperative sentence. Now you can go. It is permission. Isn't so? And if we come to join this sentence with a coordinate conjunction, that is, we can join it with the help of and, we can join it with the help of therefore, so on and so forth. We can use any other kind of coordinate conjunction over here. Now I shall change the sentence into a compound sentence so that it may be a coordinate clause. For example, in this way, stop, and now you can go. If I keep one of the sentence, if I keep one of the part of the sentence hidden over here, the other part of the sentence shall still give us complete meaning. For example, you and now you can go. It also gives us complete meaning if I keep this part of the sentence hidden. That is, now and now you can go, it has been kept hidden over here. The stop also gives us complete meaning. without any kind of dependence upon another part of the sentence. Do you get it now? Okay, shall we go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Now the next part of the clause is called as subordinate clause.